Hi there and welcome to this motion science video. My name is Cameron and I'm so glad to have you here with me today because we are going to talk about inspiration and where to find inspiration when you're feeling a little bit like you're in a creative rut and not sure what exploration to explore, what concepts to explore, where to go, what to do. And we've all been there, and sometimes we have creative ruts for quite a while. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we're on inspiration highs for a long time. But when we do hit a creative rut, these are some places you can check out. And also, if you're not in a creative rut, these are also just great resources to just kind of keep your creative process going. This is what I like to do. I don't just stick with one way of designing or animating. I like to always kind of be exploring and see what other people are doing out there. Art has been done a million and one ways. Nothing is original. Everything has been done before. It's just how you kind of approach it and what your take and your style is on that particular creative approach. So these are three simple sites just for general creative inspiration I like to go to. This first one here is Behance. And what I love about Behance is it starts to curate a collection of images for you based on what you've liked or looked at in the past, based on their algorithm. So for example, if I'm immediately drawn to this first image here, and Behance is pretty good at knowing what I'm going to like. So if I click this and I really dig the inspiration here, a couple things I'm going to do here. I'm probably going to appreciate the project, and that tells Behance like, hey, Cameron really likes this image. Let's feed him some more imagery like this, some more art like this. Also, what I could do is I could save it, right? I can add it to a mood board. And that's what's great about Behance is you can create mood boards here to save collections of images. So if I wanted to save this to a mood board, I can add it to one of my mood boards I already have here, or I could create a new mood board and, call it whatever I want to call it and save it, and I'm good to go. Great way to keep inspiration all in one place. Just to show you, I'm going to go to my motion science page here. I'm going to go to my mood board, click here, and you can see immediately these are just some simple mood boards I've set up. Maybe when you're watching this video, there's going to be a lot more here. I hope to really grow the mood boards here. So give us a like and a follow, not a like, give us a follow here, right? Come check it out. You're going to get lots of great inspiration here. So a lot of this imagery here that you're seeing is what's inside of the Stylecraft course, what we pull from, where we really study what is these different aspects, these different designs and principles of motion design. So for instance, if you go into atmosphere here, you're going to see different mood boards here for atmosphere, and then you can click on these and go even further in and really explore the QuickTime or the style frames like you see here. Great resource for finding inspiration. I'm going to go back here to the main. Let's go back to For You. And this is where you're going to see imagery that Behance thinks you're going to like. It's also great just to search, right? So let's say I'm looking for something like retro. You can get very specific, or you can keep it more generalized, like maybe retro 80s. I can click that. It's going to load up retro 80s boards here that it thinks I might like, or retro 80s projects, I should say, not boards. There's lots of great stuff to look at here. I could also narrow this down into a creative field. Like I could go directly into motion graphics if I wanted to. And these are all going to be most likely animated pieces or style frames from retro 80s type projects. One thing I do like to do when I'm searching for inspiration, a lot of times I'm not going to click motion graphics. I'm going to keep it on all creative fields for the most part, because I find that a lot of inspiration comes from areas outside of motion graphics, right? There's art, there's graphic design, there's paintings, there's architecture, there's magazines. Magazines are highly inspirational to me at this point. Look at this right here. This is really cool stuff here. What is it? Looks like it's posters. So I was immediately drawn to it, right? I love a lot about this image. I love the texture, the colors, the use of typography. These are all ways that I'm going to get inspired to create like a retro 80s project. It's something I just recently worked on, and I found a lot of inspiration here on Behance for that. Same with like typography. Sometimes you can go into typography and you can actually find like downloads for different typefaces within these projects. This one doesn't have a typeface, but I'm sure it's probably not too hard to find one. Here we go, Thunderstorm typeface. I'll click on that. Sometimes they're free, sometimes you have to pay for commercial licenses, but I can see it, how it's being used here. Really cool stuff. Typically I can scroll way down here and get struck here. That's the name of the typeface. I can download it there, or check out another awesome retro font right here on Behance. So again, you can go down a rabbit hole here. I do advise you to save these to mood boards and really kind of keep things organized and so you know where to look. Like, I would maybe save this stuff as retro 80s typefaces, or maybe just typefaces in general. I don't know. It just depends how you want to work. Next site I like to use, looking for inspiration, it's a big one, is Pinterest. If you do not follow motion science on Pinterest, please do. You can see we have a few followers here. We get a lot of people coming here every month to check out what we post and what we save into boards. A lot of this stuff, we're constantly adding to it, right? So you can see there's a lot of actually locked boards here. And these are boards that we use for projects that are up and coming, that we're getting inspired from. And maybe we're just not ready to show this to the world yet. But there's tons and tons and tons of boards here that are not locked. So for example, motion science board, you can click on this, you can come in and you can see different workshops that we have here at Motion Science, like we see here. So this is all the different workshops we have in our ProFlows program or our membership. If we go back, let's say again, you look for 80s inspiration, the 80s, come in here, find some imagery that inspires you. For example, let's say we maybe like this. And what's great about Pinterest is it's going to give us more options, more boards that it thinks we might like. And you can go down a rabbit hole here of finding different inspiration that you really dig. And then what you can do, it's the same thing. You can add it to the 80s board, but just clicking save. Or I could even, actually I like this one a lot. Let's go ahead and save that to the 80s. If we find one that maybe like this one, and we want to save it to a completely new board, we can create a board, or we can scroll through our boards to find the appropriate board that this image should be added to and save it there. So the only reason there's so many different types of boards here is because when I'm looking for something very specific for inspiration, I want to know exactly where I need to go to find that inspiration. So that's why there's so many boards here. So let's go back out here to the main profile. And let's say, I need to work on a project for, I don't know, something that's like kind of grungy, right? So grunge, I absolutely love grunge. I've got different boards here for grunge. If I can find some, like Broken, like even boards that aren't necessarily titled grunge, I know that they have specific imagery within them that might inspire me as well. So let's go up here. Let's find one. Nin concert visuals, a lot of grunge in there. Looking through here. Dark Thriller, this is a good one here. So these are all like movie posters, but they're obviously very dark, but they have like some grunge elements to them. Like look at this one here. It's very dark and moody and grungy with that texture over the top. So this is going to inspire me. And what I like to do is also just kind of pull different assets, different pieces of boards that I find inspirational. So let's say, for instance, on this 7 frame here, maybe I just like the way that the word 7 is written out, or maybe I like the whole block of type here. So I'm going to save that as inspiration for the type. But maybe I really like the imagery here, the way the imagery is used with negative space, right? That's a really great use of negative space here, and contrast. So maybe that's part of the imagery. Maybe I'm needing some help. I've got some different textures and things like that I like, but I also need to, let's say we need to add in some depth. So maybe I'll come into my depth board here and find some ideas for depth in here, or maybe I need to focus on color. I've got a color board here. It's very broad. It's got quite a few pins in it, and there's just lots of different references to color in here. Well, actually I clicked on typography by accident, but again, you can see lots of different typography references here, right? So a lot of inspiration can come from this, from just looking at these different frames, maybe clicking on one. And if that's not completely the way I need to go, I can still find other ideas here to continue my search on. So Pinterest is where it's at for a ton of inspiration. Go give motion science a follow. I promise you won't be disappointed. Lastly, a great place for inspiration is actually on Instagram. And I hear a lot of people give Instagram a lot of flack. You know, a lot of the artwork on Instagram maybe looks the same, but it all depends on who you follow. So for instance, the French Monkey, this guy is a awesome 3D creator. I would say he works a lot in 3D modeling and just creating some really trippy visuals that just always look beautiful. So I like to scroll through Instagram and just get inspiration from Instagram. Cult Class. This is a woman who does montage designs with, you know, all different types of assets, a lot of retro photography, sometimes with like alien ships like you see here, but really fun stuff, very inspirational, right? Even if I look at this and just get inspired by the color palette up in here, I really like that a lot. Scroll down, there's another great artist, Glabool. Really cool stuff. Motionographer Pro. Great stuff there. Cult Class again, more UFO ships. And Stusser is how I pronounce it. I'm sure a lot of you guys follow this guy. Great 3D artist as well. This guy right here is amazing for his use of parallax. Right now, this particular example isn't so much about parallax, I guess. But if I go into his content here, you're going to see some of the stuff this guy's done. I mean, like that, you know, that's a photograph that he animated and brought to life through parallax and some things like that. So really cool work. Again, when you follow people on Instagram, you want to follow people who really inspire you. Don't just follow what's trending, right? Look for people who inspire you. Black Book Studio, these guys don't post very often, but when they do, I find their work highly inspirational. They do a lot of type for film and TV. This guy, I think, is strictly mostly on the graphic design side of things, but I really like the artwork. You don't have to always follow just people who do motion pieces. Chris Ashworth, amazing grungy design. But anyways, what I like to do here is I will scroll through Instagram, typically on my phone, and if I find an image that really inspires me, I will either take a screenshot and save that image, or I'll take a screen recording if it's in motion and watch that recording. And then I will save the screenshot or the screen recording into a folder structure in my photos. So I use an iPhone. It's really easy to set up a folder structure within Photos, and I'll call it like Instagram, inspiration. If I get real specific, if I'm working on a particular project, it may be like, again, 80s retro, and I'll drop it into that folder. And I know that I can always go into that folder and pull up the inspiration for what I like. You can also save here, forward it to someone for maybe inspiration for them. But again, this is a great way to find inspiration. Another easy way on Instagram is just to search hashtags. So if I look for something like motion design, I guess you can't do it here on the computer, but you can search hashtags on Instagram on your phone, and it's an easy way to look for inspiration. Again, don't just stick with motion terms. Search things like grunge, like we're talking about grunge, or 80s or retro. Anything like that that's going to give you more inspiration, more ways to look for more inspiration to inspire you to be creative. So that, my friends, is 3 places where you can go to find inspiration. I use them every single week, probably every single day, to get inspiration. And I'm constantly saving imagery to a board or to a folder location for future reference, because you want to have all of these assets someplace where you can just easily pull from and get inspired immediately. So hopefully you learned something good today, and maybe you've got 3 new places to check out for inspiration. Until next time, my name is Cameron, and this is Motion Science.